Hello everyone, my name is Adam, or Vox, and in this video I'm going to be going over an updated tutorial on how to stream to twitch.tv via the OBS, or Open Broadcaster software. Now, I've done this tutorial previously, and you've maybe already seen it before, but it's been requested I update it for 2015, and that's what I'm going to be doing here in this video. Now, I'm going to assume you already know what OBS is and have it installed. It's a free live streaming and PC recording software, and you can watch my other videos on it or download it via links in the description below. This is what happens when you first open up OBS. You're greeted with this very blank and kind of intimidating screen. So let's get your settings set up first. Click the settings button on the bottom right hand box here, or either up here on the top bar, settings and settings. Your first tab is going to be your general tab. This is where you set up profiles. Profiles are going to be different options of streaming options such as resolution, where you send it to, etc. for different purposes. So for example, I have this one that I'm using for this tutorial. I have one for recording to my PC in 60 frames per second. I have one for streaming to Twitch, etc. If you wish to make a new tutorial or new profile, simply type the name of your new profile. So let's call this, I don't know, yellow, and click the add button. Then you have some options for your language, whether or not you want a notification area icon, which will put it down here in your system tray, whether or not you wanted to minimize to that option instead of the taskbar, whether or not you want the cursor over the projector. The projector is a full screen output, which I will show you in a minute, where you can project it to just show full screen on another screen. This is extremely useful for podcast and radio show broadcasts and things like that. A feature from Wirecast that was very much requested by myself to be featured in OBS. And then you can have a log window as well. Now, one thing to note is every time you change something in a new tab, hit apply before you hit OK or change tabs. That way your settings are actually applied. Click the encoding tab. Here's where you're going to set up your video bitrate. But first, you have to kind of determine where you're sending your video first. So we're going to skip this for the moment and go down to broadcast settings. Now, this is where you choose whether or not you're recording to your computer or live streaming. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to be doing live streaming. So we're going to choose a live stream, and then we're going to select the streaming service. We're going to do twitch.tv for this one. We'll do twitch.tv and Hitbox in this one. But there are other options you can choose from, and if you wish, I can do other tutorials for, primarily YouTube's the only other one I would really do a tutorial on. So let's do Twitch. Next, you choose basically your server location. Since I'm in the eastern side of the United States, I'm going to choose one in Virginia because that's closer to me. Now, it's asking you for a stream key. This is basically just a private string of numbers that Twitch gives you to authenticate you as your streaming, just as a streamer. So we're going to go up here to twitch.tv/broadcast/dashboard. You can also get to this by going to twitch.tv, signing in, and then clicking dashboard. It's just your streaming dashboard on twitch.tv. And this is where you're going to sign up, or put in what game you're playing, what the title of your broadcast is, what language you're in, and you can see chat and a video preview. This is going to be a tutorial on more things besides twitch.tv, so I'm not going to go hugely into Twitch functionality, but that's kind of what it's for. So on your dashboard, click Stream Key. Now this is going to give you that, you click Stream, Show Key, because anybody who has access to your channel, or anybody who has access to your key could in theory broadcast your channel. So you don't want to show that key to anyone. So like for right now, I'm not going to show it on video, but you click Show Key, and then you copy that and paste it right here in the path or stream key. Same thing with Hitbox. If we choose hitbox.tv, then choose a server closest to us, say Virginia, it's going to want a stream key. Go over to hitbox.tv, click your profile icon in the top left, click live stream settings, and then you can show a key and paste that in there as well. It's going to be the exact same format as Twitch, just to a different place. Now you have auto reconnect, which you're going to want to leave checked, as that is an option to basically, if for whatever reason your internet cuts out for just like a split second and you want it to automatically reconnect without just ending your stream, it will do that. However, you can also set a timeout so that say after 10 tries it still can't connect, then it's going to just stop streaming so it's not freaking out on you. A handy feature here is to automatically save your stream to a file. Now this means you can save a local copy of your live stream. Now, unlike programs like Wirecast, you cannot record a different quality than your current live stream settings are, but you can, and this is still handy to create a local file of it, so that way you can create like a highlights video or something without having to download it off Twitch and then re-upload it and lose all your quality through that. So to do this, you're going to want to choose a location. Now, by default, it's set to record to a .flv file. However, you can record to an MP4 file simply by telling it where to go. So I'm going to tell it to record to my hardware RAID and name it, give it a name. I'll name it tutorial. And then see when you change it, it already has MP4 selected. If not, there'll be flash video, but you can tell it whichever one you want. Just simply type in the extension. So I'm going to call it tutorial.mp4. Now, every time you stream, it's also going to save a tutorial.mp4 file, and then just add in like 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, etc. in parentheses after this. OBS also now has a replay buffer. I don't entirely know how this works because I've not seen a way of actually initiating the replay. However, it can save an initial temporary file which acts as a replay for playing replay back. I assume this is a functionality they're going to be best addressing in future updates. This is, of course, still very much a beta software. So to set that up, simply choose a different save location. By default, it's going to my D/videos folder. That's fine, basically wherever, and we'll name it obs-replay.mp4, and then you can tell it how long you want the replay to save. Keep in mind it's going to take up space based on that. So I'll say save 15 seconds of replay. That'll take up 4 megabytes out of 4 gigs that it can possibly save for that. Click apply. Now you also notice down here that, warning, your OBS settings are not optimized, and then it has some other settings that you'll want to change in advance to optimize. You can either go do that and check them out, which we'll do in a minute, or simply click optimize and it will automatically change that setting for you. And then you're good to go. So let's go back up to the encoding tab. On here, it's what you set the bitrate, or basically kind of like the quality that you're streaming to on Twitch or Hitbox. Now, I'm not going to answer in the comment section down below which bitrate you should use, but what you can do is go to OBS calculator on OBS's website, Estimator. That's what it's called. obsproject.com/estimator. Link will be in the description. It'll ask some settings about what hardware you have and what your internet speed is, which you can get by going to speedtest.net. Run a quick speed test, and it's going to tell you your estimated upload and download speeds. Simply pop that in the calculator, tell them what resolution you plan on streaming, and it will tell you a bitrate to use. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's a starting point. And then simply put that number in here. For my internet connection, I typically stream about 3450 kilobytes per second. This does run on kilobyte. That runs on kilobit. There's a difference. For the most part, you're going to want UCBR and UCBR padding enabled and leave custom buffer size unchecked. For audio quality, please, please, please at least turn this up a little bit. It obviously impacts your speed, but I'd say always stream at least 192 kilobits per second audio. And then 44.1 kilohertz is what most things run at. It's not going to hurt you whatever format you choose. I just choose that. Again, hit apply. And then let's go back down to video now. Now here's going to have your video adapter. If you're having difficulty getting, say, anything to show up, say it's showing like a black screen or something like that, you will want to make sure that this is selected the right device. I only have one graphics card on my computer. It's a GTX 970, and so that's what I have checked. But if you're on a laptop that has multiple devices, you want to choose the right one for you. On certain laptops, you may have 2 devices such as Intel integrated graphics, and even on some desktops actually, such as like AMD or Intel integrated graphics and then a secondary NVIDIA or AMD graphics card. Your games are going to be running on the AMD or NVIDIA graphics card, whereas your basic desktop stuff is going to be running on the Intel or AMD integrated card. Now this may show up as any number of things such as Intel Graphics 5000, etc. That's going to be totally unique to your system. I can't really tell you which one to choose. You're kind of going to have to make a rough estimate on that. And then choose the resolution of your monitor. If you don't, for whatever reason, know this, you can minimize OBS, or minimize everything really, and then right-click your desktop and go to Screen Resolution, or if you're on Windows XP-ish, go to right-click Properties, Screen Resolution, and then look at your main monitor. For me, it's 1920 by 1080. So, go back into your OBS settings, under Video, make sure it says 1920 by 1080. And then for resolution downscale, if you have decent internet, which is, I don't know, that's per person, but say you're streaming at least 1,000 or between 1,000 and 4,000 kilobytes per second, that's your streaming resolution, you're going to want to downscale it down to 1280 by 720. If you stream at full 1080p at a low bitrate, then you're going to get a lot of choppiness and artifacting. That's totally unnecessary, because if you just downscale it to 720p, it's going to look 10 times better. This doesn't actually slow your system down any, and it can make a huge difference on how your stream looks. If you're streaming at super low, say like under 1,000 kilobytes per second, then you're going to want to drop it down to 852 by 480 and stream at that resolution. It's less than 720p, but it's going to look a lot better. You can also choose your frame rate here. If you're not partnered on Twitch or Hitbox, you cannot stream at 60 frames per second. So frankly, there's no point of setting 60 unless you just want a 60 frames per second highlight reel that you're going to upload. But if you're recording instead of live streaming, setting it at 60 frames per second, if your computer can handle it, that's something you're going to need to play around with, is whether or not your computer can handle that. Then you can set it to 60 and record a 60 frames per second video. Click apply. Now, one more thing I want to note about resolution is right here where it says 16 by 9. If you choose a monitor, let's say I choose monitor 2, you can see here the resolution is 1280 by 1024. Its aspect ratio is 5:4. That means that 1280 by 1024 is a square resolution, which is a square monitor. Some people still have these. Some people have monitors that are like 1440 by 900, which is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. Unless you run your games in a window at 720p or 1080p and have it at 16 by 9, if you stream with these kinds of monitors, you're going to have black bars either on the sides or the tops of your video on your live stream. There's nothing you can do to fix this other than like cropping it out and making it look bad. So if you're running on a non 16 by 9 monitor, you really just kind of have to deal with it unless you're going to run your game in a window instead of full screen and run it at a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Just something to note. Audio. This is where you choose your microphone or speakers and stuff. So by default, desktop audio device, that's what your games and stuff play out to go to your stream. I'll leave it on default. For microphone, I'm going to choose line in on my Scarlett 2i2 USB interface. That's what I'm going to use. And then you can change, you can add an extra boost to your microphone or desktop audio. I leave it at default because mine's just loud enough. If you notice yours is just way too quiet, you can add in a boost here. However, it is a multiplier, so changing it to 2 will multiply your volume by 2 times. So don't just jack it up or you're going to blow out your recording. Click apply. The hotkeys option here is where you can set hotkeys to automatically mute your microphone, start the stream, stop the stream, etc. Change that to your liking or leave them blank. That way, if you're in-game and you can start and stop streaming, you can just hit the keys. The advanced tab. You can leave most of this as normal. If you're experiencing some issues, you could change this to super fast, the preset. However, I recommend leaving everything at normal, just how it is at default, except changing the keyframe interval to 2 seconds like OBS suggests. You should only really be changing this if you know what you're doing or if you're posting in their support forums if you need help with OBS and they suggest you change something. Leave Quick Sync Encoder alone if you even have that option. Browser you're not going to have because I'm using a plugin. And the noise gate, you can enable a noise gate which kind of tries to cut out background noise on your microphone. However, it is very primitive and you're just going to have to play with it if you understand any of it yourself to learn it, because I use a dynamic microphone, so I don't actually need a noise gate on my microphone. Once you're done with all these settings, hit OK. You're almost done. The next thing we need to cover are scene collections. Scene collections are just groups of scenes that you would display on your live stream of input sources, such as images, video sources, your desktop, webcam, etc. For a basic live stream, you only need one of these. You can view mine here where I have, if I preview the stream, I have a starting stream image, a BRB image, my monitor, which is set to the wrong one at the moment, my webcam, etc. Like I said, for a basic stream, you'd only need one. The only reason you might want multiple ones if you do separate streaming and recording, or separate types of streams, separate series, etc. So simply hit File, New, or Scene Collection New, and give it a name. Now's the time to start setting up your scenes. At any point in time, if you've set up a scene, you can hit this Preview Stream button, which is going to give you a preview of what your stream would look like without actually streaming it. And then if you need to resize something, you can click Edit Scene and it's going to put a box around it, which allows you to resize it and do different things with it. We'll explore that in a moment. To start editing your scenes, use the default one it gives you, right-click it and go to Rename, and determine what your purpose is going to be for it. I'm going to call this one Webcam. Now, you're going to want to utilize global sources for certain devices such as your webcam, images that you're going to use often, or video capture cards such as the Elgato Game Capture HD or HD60. I explain global sources in another video, which you can view the full video to view an in-depth look at global sources. But basically, it's a way of identifying one device that you're going to use consistently throughout multiple scenes, without having to set it back up individually each time and causing issues. So click the global sources button, and if you're setting up a webcam, and click Add, and we're going to add a video capture device. I've done an in-depth video on video capture devices as well, so you can check the link for that. But we're just going to cover the bases here. I'm going to call this C920 because my webcam's the Logitech C920 and sometimes I have multiple hooked up. On your device, we're going to select which one we want. Leave everything the same. Make sure audio input device is disabled if we're using a separate microphone or have the audio set up separately inside the actual stream. If you have the webcam microphone selected in the stream audio and you have it put here, you're going to be given a huge echo that you don't want. So make sure it's disabled in the actual video properties. And click OK. Within that properties window, you could also set up chroma keying for green screen, things like that, delays, but we're not going to mess with that for right now. And then I'm going to click and add an image. This one's going to be my BRB image. And then I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to find my image that I've made for my BRB image. Now this can be for, you can make this with a variety of different programs. I use Photoshop for my design work. You can use whatever. I'm not going to be doing a tutorial on this as that's a graphic design tutorial that I'm not suited to make, but you can find plenty of them online and learn to do graphic design yourself. Now here's my BRB image that I use for tutorials, and then I click OK. Now I have a couple global sources set up here. So for my webcam stream, I'm going to right-click under Sources, go to Add, and I'm going to go to Global Source, and hit C920. And click OK. Now if we preview the stream, there's my webcam, and it's full screen. But say we don't want it to be full screen. I'm going to hit Stop Preview. We're going to right-click, add a scene. We're going to call this Desktop plus Webcam. We're going to go to Sources, we're going to Add, and then we're going to go to Monitor Capture. This is going to show your whole desktop for a monitor in case you're wanting to stream something from your web browser or you doing like Photoshop work or something like that. I'm just going to leave the name Monitor Capture. You're going to have your choice of different monitors, so you're going to have to know which one's which. You can also view that via the screen resolution window that I showed you before. And click OK. Now we're going to right click again in Sources, hit Add, Global Source, and C920. Click OK. Now when we preview stream, you still see the webcam full screen, but if we hit Edit Scene, this red box comes up, and we can drag the corners of it to resize it and put it wherever we want. So I can put it in the bottom right-hand corner, and suddenly I have face cam while streaming my desktop. You can put it wherever you want, any size that you want, etc. Very useful for setting up live reaction face cam videos and things like that. I hit Stop Preview here. Next, we're going to add the image scene. So we're going to add a scene, call it BRB. And then this is what you would use if you needed to step away from your stream real quick. So we're going to add a global source of our BRB screen. And then now, anytime we're streaming, say we're streaming our webcam real quick, hello, 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 and then we need to step away, we can just click BRB, and now all it shows is the BRB screen. Pretty simple. We're going to make one more scene here. I'm just going to call it Test, because we're going to do a couple things with it, just to show off. You can also do, instead of a full desktop capture, you can add just simply a full window capture. And so if you add window capture source, you can add... Your options are only going to be limited to what kind of has graphics going on in it. So at the moment, here, we can try that. It's my streaming software I'm using to record this with. Now if I hit preview, it's only showing the window of that program. So it doesn't matter where I move the window, it's only going to show the window of that program, and I can overlay that onto something else. You can also add game capture, right here, game capture. And we can call that game. And then it's going to look for similar things where it hooks into whatever game's graphics you have going at the time. Now, you do need the game running and have pulled up the graphics for it before it can make the hook with this. So if you do this before you open your game, You have to come back and actually add the game capture and then select your game before you can use it. But then hit OK, and it functions in a similar way, but it's going to be looking for a DirectX game, so you got to make sure you have a game running. And then you can add over top your webcam and things like that, and do the same stuff. Lastly, if you wanted to add text overlay, right-click, Add Text, call it whatever you want, and then you can choose from any font installed on your system. You can make it bold, you can make it italic, you can change the size, you can add an outline or stroke, and you can choose it from file, which is how some of those programs for like currently song playings and things like that are coming from. This is a test, and then hit OK, and then hit edit scene, and it overlays that on top of your stream, which you can do whatever you want with. Although obviously if you're scaling it up, you're going to want to change the font size up, else it'll look like a pixelated mess. And that's pretty much it for scenes. There are other extensions you can do with this program with plugins, like you saw here. If I go add to CLR browser, that's a plugin, so you can add web browser updates over top of your stream. You can add sub alert to it. You can add lots of things like that where it pops up when you get a new subscriber or follower or donation. You can stream, record, or start the replay buffer. You can manage your global sources down here. And then you can also change the volume of your desktop audio and your microphone. This is extremely useful for making sure your stream sounds okay before you start streaming. So let's say we hit preview stream here. This is a test. You can see how loud my microphone is and how loud whatever's playing on my computer is, be that a video or a game. And then you can turn that down so that way you can make sure that your voice is coming across the other audio. That is very important to use. And then say you're on the BRB screen and you don't want anybody to hear you, just click the microphone or desktop icon and it will mute either source. This was a bit of a lengthy video, but it was an updated 2015 version of my OBS tutorial and walkthrough to learn how to live stream from your computer to twitch.tv or hitbox.tv. Let me know what other Twitch tutorials you'd like to see, or well, not Twitch, OBS tutorials you'd like to see in the description or in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out our other videos and channels and the like. Give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, etc. And I will catch you in a future video. Bye-bye.